Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mary. I give you guys an extra warm welcome. Go ahead and grab a snack, stay for a while, click the subscribe button. I would love to have you. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching it again. I appreciate you more than you know. So today's video, we are going to do a little get ready with me. And I'm going to discuss my last doctor's visit. I know, it's been a week, I think. But last week, man, you know how sometimes you just have one of those weeks where you literally just don't want to do anything? I had one of those weeks. I don't know if it's just the pregnancy and all the chaos that's going around in the world right now just finally getting to me, and I just felt like I needed the week off. So I went ahead and just took the week off. I'd rather do that than provide you guys with like crappy content, you know? So I apologize, but we are back. And a week ago I had a doctor's appointment, and I want to tell you guys all about that. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to use the Healthy Foundation by Physicians formula. I believe they discontinued this foundation, so I'm sorry. If you want to go purchase it, you cannot because it has been discontinued. But I do really enjoy this foundation. The finish is beautiful. I do use two colors because the first one I got was way too light. But yeah, it's a beautiful foundation. I don't love absolutely everything that Physicians Formula has to offer, but this foundation I do really enjoy. Also, disclaimer, this is my personal feelings and how I felt going to this doctor's appointment. In no way, shape, or form am I demeaning the medical advice that my doctor's office is giving me or anything. I'm just sharing feelings about how I felt going into that doctor's appointment, and hopefully some of you can relate. I love the doctor's office that I go to. My OB-GYN is an amazing doctor. I have been seeing her for almost 10 years, so I trust her completely. I'm just sharing my feelings. So last Tuesday was my doctor's appointment. I was like 16 and a half weeks when I went in to go see my OB-GYN. Unfortunately, since I was having some medical insurance issues, I didn't actually go into the doctor's office to be seen until I was, I think, 14 weeks. I calculated by my calculations that I was 12 weeks, but because of the measurements of the babies, they gave me a much sooner due date, making the babies 2 weeks ahead than what I had calculated myself. So I was basically already late in my prenatal care. That, I guess, played a factor on this visit and just the whole tone around it. I personally hate going to doctor's visits because they have to weigh you. And I mean, of course, you can always, you know, turn away from the scale so you don't see the number on there. Since I technically only see my doctor once a year for like regular yearly visits, I like to see the number on there just because I want to know, you know, have I really let myself go, or like, am I doing okay, am I staying steady? But yeah, so that's definitely one of my least favorite parts of doctor's visits. And when you get pregnant, that becomes a bigger fear because you can do whatever you can as far as, like, you know, if you're an active pregnant woman, so with exercise and with your diet, but your babies and your stomach, like, you're going to gain weight even if you're trying not to gain weight, because that's just the nature of it. You know, you are going to gain as much weight as those babies need you to gain weight so that you can, you know, be pregnant for 9 months. Technically it's 10 months, but yeah. So one of the biggest things that I always hate when I go to my doctor's visits, especially when I'm pregnant, is the scale. Luckily this time I ended up losing 5 pounds from my first visit. So that wasn't even one of the issues, and I thought it was going to be. apparently when I went in to see my doctor for my first visit, there was some sort of miscommunication with myself and the nurse practitioner. A lot of offices that are very, very, you know, busy use nurse practitioners and physician's assistants to see patients for the doctors. But for those of you who don't know and haven't been here for a while, I was a medical assistant, so I know a lot of the protocols when it comes to doctor's offices. I've worked in family medicine, I've worked in urgent care, I've worked in a kids clinic, I've worked with neurology, I've worked with orthopedics, so I know a good amount of policies, and I am perfectly okay with seeing a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant. They're basically working under the doctor's license. So I have no issue seeing the nurse practitioner or the PA of the office if the doctor is too busy to see me that day. So on my first visit, I saw the nurse practitioner, and for some reason, just the way she used her wording made me think that she didn't want my blood work done until my next visit, which she made for 2 weeks from that first initial visit, because that's when I would be 16 weeks. But apparently I was supposed to get blood work done on that first visit. So they were not happy with me because of that. I got yelled at. Well, not yelled at, you know what I mean. They reminded me that I left in a hurry and didn't stay for my blood work. I think 3 or 4 times during the whole visit. So I felt like they were, you know, lecturing me. I have pretty good blood pressure, so that has never been a concern for me. I don't think I have ever had high blood pressure. Maybe when I first saw my OB-GYN in the very first visit with her, she did inform me that even though my blood pressure wasn't high because of my weight and where the numbers were for my blood pressure, if I continued on that path, it could be high and I could start having, you know, medical problems. So she told me that I needed to start exercising and really taking care of myself, because at the time I was not exercising. So that's the closest I've ever been to having high blood pressure. Well, for some reason on that visit, my blood pressure was 141/82, so they considered it high because I'm pregnant and with twins, because they consider a twin pregnancy being a high-risk pregnancy, whether you are healthy or not. It's a whole different ballgame. So I didn't think too much of it until I got into the room and talked to the doctor. But yeah, so that was an issue. For those of you who don't know, a normal blood pressure is 120/80. I guess when it comes to pregnancy, it's just different. So I got in, they did the little sonogram, I heard the baby's heartbeats, no ultrasound on that day. At my OB-GYN, they don't do too many ultrasounds. I think with Harper, I only had 2 ultrasounds the whole pregnancy. So I was sitting there and I was waiting for, you know, the doctor to come in to discuss things and whatnot. My doctor came in and she mentioned that I left, you know, without getting my blood work done. So, I mean, she didn't yell at me, but I felt like she was, you know, lecturing me. And I did tell her that when I saw the nurse practitioner, I thought what she had said was that she wanted me to wait until my next appointment, which was when I would be 16 weeks, because that's when they needed to do like genetic blood testing and all that. And she told me, you know, that they had to start doing blood work from the first visit, just because it's part of the, you know, prenatal care and whatnot. And basically I'm wrong, and yeah. So I'm sitting there and she measures my belly, you know, letting me know that the twins are running a little bit on the long side. Didn't mention anything about my weight, which is awesome because I ended up losing and not gaining, which was not my intention. It just happened. But she did mention the blood pressure, and she did inform me that I needed to watch my blood pressure. She said it's considered high for you being so early on, which in my head I'm just like, well, that's not really high, but okay, I understand, you know, I'm pregnant, so things are different. And I'm pregnant with twins, because apparently things can go south very, very quick when you are pregnant with twins. So she ordered me to monitor my blood pressure twice a day, which I have been since my visit, and it's been low. I did inform her that I did have a little bit of caffeine on that day. I totally forgot. So if I know I'm going to go in to see my doctor, especially when I'm pregnant, I try not to have any caffeine on that day, just because if you didn't know, caffeine can alter your blood pressure and make it seem higher than it is. If you're a smoker, same thing. If you drink, same thing. So I try to not drink any caffeine before going in to see, especially if I'm pregnant, my doctor. But I totally forgot that I took a sip of, yeah, and that's why my blood pressure seemed high. So I did tell her, you know, I did have a little bit of caffeine. So she said, okay, you know, stop drinking your caffeine. So I did, and I wasn't even drinking caffeine. I've been doing decaf coffee. Decaf coffee does still technically have some traces of caffeine in it. So I just stopped completely, you know, unfortunately, because this is a twin pregnancy, I really have to take everything serious. So I'm sitting there, and she continues to tell me that twin pregnancies are, you know, considered high risk. A lot can go wrong, and I will be lucky if I get to 37 weeks. We are shooting between 36 and 37. If I go over that, great, but more than likely I won't. My OB-GYN's protocol for twin pregnancies is a C-section, which at first I would have loved to have my second child natural like I did with Harper, but you know, the circumstances have changed because it is twins and everything has changed. So, you know, she continued telling me pretty much, you know, protocols and everything, and I don't know, I just felt like because it's a twin pregnancy, I'm being treated differently, and I'm looking at it as a patient, but I'm also looking at it as the medical aspect of it, because I totally understand, you know, like when it's a different scenario than your normal scenario, you have to take all the precautions necessary, and it doesn't mean that they're necessarily being mean to me. They just want to make sure that I know how bad things can get if I don't really take care of myself during this pregnancy. And I mean, of course, every person is different, every pregnancy is different, you know, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes when you're pregnant and you can be like the healthiest person ever, you know, you can develop preeclampsia or gestational diabetes. Like, it's seriously, every woman is different, and sometimes things are inedible and they just happen. But if I can do whatever I can to make sure and prevent, you know, that I don't bring any more complications into this pregnancy, then great. But yeah, it definitely, this pregnancy feels so much more different than being pregnant with Harper. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but those of you who have been pregnant, every time I go in there, I just feel like nervous, like I'm about to go into the principal's office, because I have to make sure my weight is on point. I have to make sure my blood pressure is on point. I have to make sure that I'm drinking enough water. I have to make sure that I'm eating enough. I have to make sure that I'm eating not just enough, but healthy. I have to make sure, you know, that everything is going as smoothly as possible so that, you know, my babies are healthy. And it's just, I hate going to doctor's visits, especially when I'm pregnant, because it's so stressful. And then you don't know if it's going to be a good visit, like, you know, if the doctor is going to be like, oh, you're doing great, or if you're going to get a slap on the hand for, you know, whatever reason that visit is. I hope hope I'm making sense. Those of you who have had babies, let me know if you can relate to these feelings I'm having. Those of you who have not had babies, please don't let this scare you. This is just how I feel. Also take into consideration that I am pregnant and my hormones are all over the place. So I might just be more emotional about it than I should be. But yeah. At this doctor's visit, after leaving the visit, I literally felt like such a failure as a pregnant mom because I got yelled at for leaving the doctor's office and not getting my blood work done last time. I got yelled at for my blood pressure. I got yelled at because I took so long to go in and see the doctor for this pregnancy, even though that was out of my control. Like, I just felt like I was getting yelled at for everything. The only thing I didn't get yelled at was for my weight, which was one of the things that I was worried about the most. Because with you're pregnant with twins, so it's like obviously the number that they say is a safe or like the normal amount of pounds that you should gain while pregnant is a little different when you're having twins because there's 2 babies in there. So that's the only reason why I was so worried about it. But like, I just felt like I was getting yelled at over everything. So when I left that doctor's office, I was feeling so down. I'm not even telling you guys what I'm using. I'm sorry. I'm just so busy telling you my story. But I do know, you know, that there's no ill intent when they tell you this stuff. So, even though I was feeling that way, like, I'm listening to my doctor's orders. You know, I'm checking my blood pressure. I am continuing with my exercising. For those of you who don't know, I do CrossFit and I have been able to continue doing CrossFit. I haven't had to stop. So that is awesome. I have had to scale down a few some of the movements, or like if there's too much running, I definitely do bring down the running to where it's not as much as what is programmed, just because I feel so heavy when I do run. No like pressure or pain, I just feel very, very heavy. So there are things that I am scaling, but so far like everything feels great still. I'm continuing with that. I'm continuing with making sure that I'm eating as clean as I possibly can. I do give in to some cravings here or there, but not too often, just because it seems like when I do, I feel like shit afterwards. And it's probably because this, you know, the stuff that I crave is not good for you because it has, you know, all this sodium or all this sugar. So, you know, anytime I do cave into a craving, I just feel like shit afterwards. And like for me personally, remembering how horrible I feel after eating that craving, I don't, because it's not, at least for me, it's not worth it. I'm already uncomfortable as it is, you know, so early on. Like I started having issues sleeping at what, 12 weeks already. Like I can't get comfortable at night. It is very hard for me to get comfortable. So I could only imagine how much worse it's going to get. So, you know, anything I can do to make sure that I'm not uncomfortable the whole time. I take my doctor's advice very seriously. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying that I felt defeated as a pregnant mother leaving that doctor's office. But I didn't let it get me down. It's how I felt. I have every right to feel that way. So for those of you who don't know, when you are pregnant with twins, you typically get referred to a maternal fetal medicine doctor, and that doctor is just someone who specializes in twin pregnancies. So your OB-GYN monitors your health, and the maternal fetal medicine doctor monitors the baby's health. My doctor did ask me if I have seen a maternal fetal medicine doctor, so I informed her that when I called the place that my insurance covers, they told me that they needed to receive the referral from their office. So she informed me, you know, that they would go ahead and get that started. I kind of feel like I'm feeling better now. Like I said, I have been checking my blood pressure, and average, I want to say, is like 120/72. That's about average. I check it in the morning and I check it at night before I go to bed, and that's around the numbers that I have been getting. In the morning sometimes it is a little bit lower, but it's good. So I've been very happy about that, because it's kind of a relief to know that it was the small amount of caffeine that I did have on that day. That's why my blood pressure was a little bit higher than it normally is. So it makes me happy. I'm pretty sure that when I go in for my next visit to my OB-GYN, my blood pressure is going to be on par with what I have been getting here. I've never been one of those people that gets nervous before a doctor's appointment and like my blood pressure skyrockets. I've never been that person. I know it's a thing. I know it exists because I had a lot of patients that had that happen. It's a thing, but it's never been an issue for me. They also called me for the genetic testing that they did on the babies, and everything is good. So babies are nice and healthy. I have nothing to worry about. I did get a call from the maternal fetal medicine doctor, so I got my appointments done with them, and soon I should know, in about 2 weeks, 100% certain what both babies are. So I'm really excited about that. So even though I felt like crap leaving from that doctor's visit, I'm feeling a lot better a week later. You know, blood pressure is nice and good, and it's been nice and good since I started tracking it. I am still exercising, you know, I am still making sure that I'm eating right. Like, I'm just feeling a lot better. I guess it just felt like on that day I went into the principal's office and I got lectured and I felt like crap. That is how my doctor's visit went. I hope the next one I feel better after the visit. I'm scheduled to see my OB-GYN the Friday before Halloween, and before that I should have already seen the maternal fetal medicine doctor and my ultrasound to see the babies and finally figure out what I'm having, what these two babies are. Now, the point of this video isn't to talk bad about my doctor's office. That is not the point of this video. The point of this video is, you know, me sharing what's going on, updates, and also if you have been in the situation where, like, if you've been pregnant and you felt like you were getting yelled at, it's okay. You are not the only one that feels that way. And just know that, you know, they are just looking out for your health and your baby's health. So it's not like they're doing it maliciously. Want to make sure that you know that you need to take care of yourself and your baby or babies. But it's okay to feel like you just got yelled at. It's okay. You will have every right to feel that way, which is the way that I felt. You know, I understand that they were just telling me what I needed to do to make sure that things don't progress worse. So that's my doctor's visit. That's how it went. I kind of just wanted to share with you guys because I felt so horrible after that visit, and I even talked to my sisters and like let them know my feelings about how I felt after this visit and how I just felt that I was being yelled at, you know, and they agreed with me and said, you know, that they have felt the same way. No, it's okay, and it's okay if you feel that way. I am here to tell you guys that you are not alone if you have felt that way at a doctor's visit. Well, this is it. This is the makeup look I'm doing for this Get Ready With Me. Super simple, but definitely feel like it's super fall vibes. I'm really, really loving it. Hope you enjoyed me talking about my appointment, my doctor's appointment, and how I felt and everything. It's going to be a crazy journey. I'm hoping it still keeps going as smoothly as it has been. I will be 18 weeks this Thursday, and I'll put a picture up here so you can see size of the belly. Yeah, I mean, you know, it honestly feels like this pregnancy is going a little faster than it did with Harper. It just seems like it's flying by so quick. The fact that I have to really mentally prepare myself that I could possibly deliver before 35 weeks. It's very common. I think from what I have seen from the Facebook group, between 34 and 37 is like the window of when twin pregnancies usually, deliver. I'm going to try my best to make sure that I get to 36 weeks. The last thing I want is for me to have to leave the hospital without my babies because I have to stay in the NICU. I mean, I understand that, if that's what has to happen, it's going to happen. Of course I understand, but imagining it is very sad. So I am going to try and make sure that I keep these babies cooking as long as I can. Since my doctor does do C-sections, like that's her protocol for twin pregnancies, they usually schedule it between 36 and 37 weeks. So I'm going to try my best to make sure that I'm doing everything that I possibly can so that I make it to my scheduled C-section. That is the plan. And hopefully the babies come out nice and healthy and, none of them have any sort of issues. I'm just really hoping and praying that my babies come out healthy and hopefully we don't have to leave them in the NICU when I get discharged from the hospital. But like I said, if that is what happens, then it's what has to happen. I am completely okay with that. I'm really trying to mentally prepare myself for every scenario possible. So I would love it if you guys just kind of send your good, awesome vibes and prayers this way, and that I continue feeling great and the pregnancy keeps continuing to be as good as it is. I would love it if you hit that like button, give this video a big ol' thumbs up. It would really help me out in the algorithm and hopefully get some new and fresh eyes on my channel. And if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you joined my small YouTube family and click that subscribe button. I would love to have you, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye!